Hi, and welcome to my channel. Or if you're a returning subscriber, hi again. It's so nice to see you back here for another video. My name's Tess Lark, and today I'm going to show you how you can make these really cute 3D flower trinket bowls. These little bowls are great as ring dishes or to hold some spare change, loose jewelry, and they really just make a lovely addition to any desk or table that they're sitting on. And let's just hop right into today's project. To save time in this video, I went ahead and I pre-mixed my resin, and I'm making a few projects today, so I mixed up a big batch of resin. But to make 2 of these trinket bowls, you'll need 160 milliliters of resin or 80 milliliters of resin for each trinket bowl. And here I just have a little bit of gold glitter, and I'm adding a bit of my clear resin to that because I want gold glitter for the center of my flowers. I'm not adding too much resin to the glitter as I do want it to stay pretty thick and pasty so it doesn't spread throughout the entire piece. After I've got my gold mixed up, I'll go ahead and portion out a little bit more of my clear resin into 2 smaller cups so I can make some colored resin. And I'm just pouring out about 20 milliliters or so of resin to make my colors. And for this set of trinket dishes, I'm going to be using green and white. And the white I'm using is the Blanco Blanco by Pinata Colors alcohol ink. And I'll be adding some of that to my resin. And then I'll just mix that alcohol ink into my resin very thoroughly, making sure that I'm scraping both the sides and the bottom of my container as I go. And for my green, I'm using a combination of the turquoise by Let's Resin along with a forest green by Pinata Colors. And I'm out of pipettes, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that alcohol ink on the bottom of a popsicle stick and use that to drip it into my resin. And just a quick reminder that if you are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to give it a like. It really helps out my channel a whole lot. After my colors are all set up, I'll go ahead and give them a quick hit with my heat gun before moving on to the next step. And I do this to pop any bubbles that are starting to rise to the surface. Next, I'll begin to fill the molds with some of my clear resin, leaving just a little bit of space because we will be adding the colored resin, so we want to make sure that we're not going to overfill the molds. And then we'll hit these with the heat gun one more time, again to pop any bubbles that might be forming. And then starting with my green resin, I'm going to go ahead and pinch that cup and make a simple flower pattern. I'm just using a 5-petaled flower and going around that same shape with my resin. Then I'll follow that up by doing the same thing using my white resin, again just going over that pattern that I previously created and trying to make some nice smooth lines and also fill in some of that negative space. And if you're interested in some more resin art tutorials from me, I do have an entire resin art playlist here, as well as a playlist that's full of different techniques to make these 3D resin flowers, and I'll make sure to list those down below in the description as well. I'll also have all the materials that I use for this project listed in the description as well, so if anybody is curious exactly what resin I'm using, where I got my molds, or you want to try this project for yourself, all of that information will be down there for you. And after I've formed my flower, I'll just take a little bit of that gold glitter and place it right in the center of the flower before moving on to the next trinket dish. And let me know down in the comments below what you're working on, if you've got any big projects you're working on, or small projects you're working on, or techniques that you're working to learn. I'm always curious to know what you guys are making at home. I'd also like to point out that I find that I get the best results when making flowers when I use a color and then I also use white with that color. I've tried using a couple different colors and it seems like there's something about the white that just really helps to push the resin to the bottom of the coaster and also really bloom out the colors without them becoming too blended. But I'd love to know your experiences down below. Have you tried this technique before? Have you tried it with 2 or 3 colors, not using white? Let me know in the comments. That's what they're there for. After I've created my flower pattern, I'll go ahead and use a clean popsicle stick to draw a line in between all of those petals, adding a little swirl in the center. And then I'll add my gold glitter to that second flower. And then I'll go ahead and hit these with my heat gun once more on the higher setting before covering them up and letting them cure, but I'm only going to let them cure for about 5 or 6 hours because I still want them to be pliable enough to shape them into bowls. So I let these sit for about 5 hours, and now we're gonna go ahead and pull them out of their molds and see how they're turning out so far. It's kind of a delicate balance because you don't want the resin to be too sticky so it leaves fingerprints, but you still do want it pretty soft. So next I'm going to go ahead and set up a couple just regular bowls from the kitchen, and I'm lining those with waxed paper. And then after removing my piece from my mold, I'll go ahead and place that into the bowl and press it down in the center just to change the shape of it. And I didn't tape it in this video, but I did end up covering these with wax paper and then using some older resin projects just to kind of weigh them down and keep them in place. But these flowers are looking so beautiful. I can't wait to see what these are like when they're completely finished. So after I've got them in the bowls, I'll go ahead and let them cure completely, so for another 6 or so hours. As you can see here, I just have my old little Trinket dishes on top of these, and I'm going to go ahead and pull them out. And here's the first dish, and it's got a really nice shape to it, a really nice slope to the sides of it. I think it's going to be perfect for storing little trinkets or just some loose jewelry. And then the second bowl as well has a really nice slope to it. Definitely more of a slope than my first attempt at this project, which I will go ahead and link down below. So my final step will be to use my Art Deco Premium paint pen, and I'm just going to give a gold border to each of these bowls. And the edges of these bowls are pretty uneven, so when you're filling them in, just make sure you're taking your time and getting into all of those little nooks and crannies. I'm also doing my best to make sure that there's a good amount of space between my hand and the sides of the bowl so that I don't smudge the paint pen as I'm going. And then after I've got a nice layer of this gold right around the edge, I'm going to go ahead and create a small border around the flower. And then I'll repeat the same process with my second bowl, and then I'll leave these alone for a good 10 to 20 minutes just to allow some time for the paint pen to dry completely. Alright, and so these bowls are all finished up, and overall I think they turned out really, really beautiful. I love this sort of minty green that happened, although I am very curious and in the market for a nice emerald green. So if anyone has a good recommendation for an emerald green alcohol ink, leave it down in the comments below. I really would love to know what you guys are using and what you like. As always, my friends, thank you so much for being here, especially if you made it all the way to the end of the video. And if you did make it all the way to the end of the video, leave me some sort of green emoji in the comments so that I know that it's real. One more gentle reminder to hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed because I do post weekly. And going forward, moving into the fall, I'm hoping to post 2 times a week. Maybe not every single week, but I would like to get some more content out there, get some more feedback from you guys. It's a really fun exchange that started to happen, so I'm very happy to be here, and I'm happy that you're here too. I really hope that this video inspires you to make something of your own today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!